The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected. I'm Jackson Burns. You are...
Regan Burns. You know what you did there?
Just fumbled my throw.
No,
is that what you did?
Your English was really bad. You're like you're. Like it made it sound
you
like
are.
you
you are.
It,
okay. Maybe that is on me.
I thought you were going to say Jackson Burns, your podcast host. It was. it was not a. It was
okay. It wasn't
Jackson Burns.
Okay.
And you are. It was and you're. So that's what threw me. Regan Burns here, along with my
1
son,
minute
Jackson
in, and this
Burns.
is already crashing down. Already crashing down on top of us.
Speaking of crash, hey everybody, we're back. We haven't even discussed this. We had some crazy technical difficulties. As we speak, episode 21 is being launched, and I think we're going to put this episode up almost immediately.
Tomorrow, I think?
Yeah, I think we'll shoot for tomorrow. So it should be like a back-to-back episodes, and we'll put that all over the social media. Well, you're here, so... but we had technical problems, which resulted in what I had a feeling it would, and that is a brand new laptop for young Jedi Jackson over there, who handles all the editing and downloading onto the internet and the social world wide web. And initial reports are, Jackson, we are up and running faster and stronger than ever. Is that correct?
That is very correct. This is definitely a vast improvement. It's funny. I went into the store, and she was like, I told her all the issues I was having, and she goes, all right, I'm just going to look at your history. Like, I know you said you've been in here before, so I'm just going to look at, like, your appointment history and see what other people said.
Right.
And she looked at me, and she went, dude, you've been in here, like, 10 times since November. Like,
right.
What is happening? And I was like, yeah, you tell me. Don't ask me what's happening. You tell me. And what was happening was my laptop was not working the way it should be. So
now, do you get the feeling, Jackson? We're pulling the curtain back. You're an Apple man. Who isn't? Do you feel like this death of your previous laptop is one of those things with like the phones where it's like they're programmed to pretty much suck after about 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Forcing you to buy another one. Is that
that
what's
would
going
definitely
on?
be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was just no getting around it. We took a week off because he was settling back into his school, and I was off doing an adventure race in Oregon, and then of course we ran into all these technical difficulties. But we're back, and I think we should be pretty consistent.
We should be good now. Like everything's set. I mean, you can see my dorm's all set up now, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, look at you.
Computer's looking nice.
Your posters are up. You got some stuff going on.
They're all up.
I see you got the RAN right behind your bed.
I do.
Is that kind
got
of like a
La Hen right there?
Right. Is RAN? Is that kind of a code word to a girl if she's in bed with you right there? She just looks up and sees that, and it's pretty much. I
posted a picture of one of my posters being put up on my Snapchat story, and one of my friends swiped up and was like, if I was a woman and I came into your dorm, I would walk out so fast.
Yeah,
I was thanks, man.
She should literally run.
Run.
The sign says it. I mean,
take the advice. Yeah, take Kurosawa's advice. It's good.
And get the hell out of this dorm room before you make the biggest mistake of your life. Okay, well, hey, listen, man, you do you. I'm not sure. Although I will tell you, that's better than like having like a chick being hosed down on the hood of a Corvette or something. You ever see those?
Yeah, it's not like I got one of those like like race car driver, flag waving.
Yeah, I never understood why some men decorate their dorm rooms the way they do in hopes of attracting female companions.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone have one of those in since I've been here. So
yeah, well,
maybe that kind of
you may not hang out
went out
with
of
those,
fashion.
You may not hang
That's
out with
also
those
true.
type of guys either. Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
If you've tuned into episode 21, which we just put up, it feels like a year ago. But we talked about the Idris Elba movie, 3,000 Years of Longing, which we were both kind of disappointed with, and talked at length about Phantom of the Paradise, which was your guys, John Krenus, selection to us for a really, really bad film. Just a reminder, since it's the top of the show, and you guys probably tune out after about 10 minutes, to start emailing us right now on great films, classic films that you think we missed, and classic tanks, real stinkers that you want to force us to watch. We're always trying to go back and visit some of the ones we might have missed, whether good or bad. So send those to our YouTube channel or Instagram or TikTok at PGN Podcast. Just if you're listening to us now, you found us somehow. It was how was your week, by the way? We didn't see a lot of films this week, so I assume you're still kind of busy or settling in.
Yeah, definitely. No, I was definitely busy this week. I had my first improv show.
Look at
this
you.
week.
Yes, and did you do
Yes,
a lot of?
and
did you
did
do
a little
some?
yes anding.
Did you do some space work where you're
I did
like,
a little- Oh, he's drinking out of a glass. Look at that.
Now, have you ever found yourself in an improv, Jackson, doing the just the sin of all space works, where you're on the phone but you stick out your thumb?
I haven't done that.
Yeah,
But
that's not how you hold a phone. So you don't do that.
Last week during a practice, I did do this for gun as opposed to holding it like
for a gun. You actually
for a gun instead of doing like the hold it like you would an actual gun. I did the physical.
You actually pointed your fingers and made a little trigger with your thumb.
No, yeah, it was during a practice, and the head of improv was like in the middle of the scene was like, "That's an awfully big trigger for your gun," and I was like, "Oh crap, I messed up." But
yeah. Never turn your hand into the prop.
The object.
Just
that you're trying
hold
to
the prop.
Yeah.
And then of course the other huge sin of space work and improv is like someone will be holding a mug of coffee and they're drinking, and then suddenly the mug's just not there anymore.
Right, it's gone.
Like
you have to see us set it down.
You have to place it down or something. Someone will be on a steering wheel driving, and then suddenly they're not driving and their hands are just off, and you're like, you just crashed into a tree.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No, it went well though. I was in we did a text from last night is the game that we played that I was in, which is basically like it's 3 improvisers. One of them gets a phone from someone in the audience, like they pull up a group chat or something, and that improviser is only allowed to say things from the text message feed. So it's kind of the job of the other 2 improvisers to build the scene, bring them into it, and then justify why they're saying what they're saying.
Right.
It was really good. It was me and my friend William were in it, and we were I was his wife trying to going to our what do you call it? When you want to get pregnant, you go to a pregnancy specialist,
a gynecologist, a fertility specialist,
a fertility specialist, but it wasn't working, and that was kind of the crux of the bit. But
look at you.
It went really well.
Oh, and when you were a woman, were you like, ooh, sweetheart? Like put on that horrifically, like a woman would never talk like that. But for some reason, when men play women in an improv, they suddenly have to be like, I'm Marcus. I'm in the car waiting for you.
Right.
You didn't do that?
I did not do that. I didn't.
Okay.
I spared the audience that experience.
That's pretty good. You didn't put like your fingers into your T-shirt and point your fingers out like boobs or something like that.
I did. I started blowing my shirt up like a little.
Yeah, that's
that would have been.
You didn't go like
fun.
Sid Caesar 1950s comedy kind of stuff. Okay, all right.
I didn't, and I don't get that reference. So maybe I did, and I just don't know.
Oh, Sid Caesar, yeah, schlocky. And you can write all your hate mail about how I did not care for Sid Caesar to our Instagram or Snapchat or PGN Podcast. Parental guidance is neglected.
Absolutely.
Father and son talking through stuff. I started watching a new show this week with your mother called The Patient. Have you seen that? or heard of it?
That sounds familiar, but I can't think of it off.
It stars Steve Carell.
Oh, I have heard of this.
Yeah, and he plays a psychologist or psychiatrist who is treating a serial killer. He doesn't know he's a serial killer, but he finds out he's a serial killer because the serial killer abducts him and locks him in his basement, forcing him to do therapy with him to hopefully stop him from killing someone else.
Ooh, I kind of like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool premise. We're watching it on the Hulu. I think it's an FX production. I don't know if it's on FX either, but it's not one of those ones you can binge the whole thing. They're releasing one or two a week kind of thing. It's interesting. It's short too. It's like each episode's only about 30 minutes. It's not a full hour drama. But that was kind of my new dip in the pool for TV this week. The guy who plays the serial killer, I don't remember his name. He's probably British. In fact, I'm almost sure he is. I just remember he was in one of the new Star Wars movies. I think he was the bad guy in the second one, maybe. Is that the one where I don't know. The one where Princess Leia dies. I feel like was a big character in that one, but he's very good. So my apologies for not watching his name, but that's kind of it for the TV there. I'm still watching the House of Dragons, but
yeah,
I got like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't know.
I've been as far as the TV front goes, I've been watching 6 Feet Under. Actually, I had the first 6 Feet Under class I had, or I guess it was the first one since we actually started watching it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of was very interesting because I got to see how the class works in a way. It's a psychology class. Like at the end of the day, there's a lot of psych majors in the class. I think I'm the only film major taking the course.
Gotcha.
So the first half of the class is talking about is only just psychology. Like we have to read like Freud or Jung or whatever and then talk about that. Then the second half is actually talking about the show. And so it's kind of funny where it's like the first half of the class is kind of just the psych majors talking and me going, oh my god, what the fuck are they talking about? I have literally no clue what's going on right now. And the second half, I'm like, oh my god, no, I love these characters and the way this was so interesting. So it's kind of funny being like, oh yeah.
They're like, why did he make that choice to leave the mortuary instead of dealing with the death? And Jackson's like, I don't know, but did you see the way the camera panned out, then caught his face, and they kind of tracked up as the music faded in? I thought that was awesome.
One of the it's funny because two of the characters, it's the parents of one of the brothers' love interests. They're both psychologists in the show. Like they play psychologists.
Right.
And I'm like, I hate these characters. I was like, I hate these characters so much. Right. I hate the fact that they're always getting into each other's heads. And my teacher was kind of like, you got to watch. Like you're in a class full of people who want to be that when they grow up. You got to be careful, man. I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't mean no offense. I'm just saying like know when to turn it off. You know.
What do you think of psychology majors? Like are they? I would think that they're a little. My first instinct would be is they're kids that are coming in with baggage anyways. Like I feel like
they're all very nice.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not nice. I'm just saying I think people who kind of get into psychology at a young age are usually people who are trying to figure out answers to stuff going on in their own lives.
Yeah, I think so
I could
too.
be wrong. I could be wrong. So sometimes they might be a little bit like.
Do you
want to be a psychologist or do you need a psychologist?
I have no problems with psychologists. Obviously, like it's a very important job to have.
Extremely.
I have a problem with psychologists that don't know when to turn off being a psychologist.
Right.
Like if I'm having a conversation with you and you're spending the whole time psychoanalyzing me, I'm not gonna like you. Like this isn't an enjoyable conversation for me to have where I'm just getting grilled for your entertainment.
Yeah, you sit down and you're like, I think I'm gonna get a light beer, and they're like, why don't you want a regular beer? Is there something that you're not? Did your daddy?
Do you think you're fat?
Yeah.
What's there?
Did your daddy not hug you as a child? Or, dude, I ordered a light beer just because I wanted a light beer. Shut up and stop analyzing me.
All
right. Well, have fun going there. How deep into the show are you? Are you into season 1 still, 2, or?
Still into season 1. We're about 6 episodes in. I have to watch a couple more before my next class, but
gotcha.
They're long. I mean, each episode's like an hour long. They're long episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be curious to see if the show gets better for you or worse or stays the same. We'll see. But right now, you're all in, right? You're digging?
Yeah, right now I'm definitely all in.
Digging the 6 Feet Under. I don't know why I think I was just like, what have I done this week? Because I really did not watch a whole lot.
Oh, I watched Secrets and Lies. I finally got around to watching Secrets and Lies.
So you got on a Mike Lee kick. I think after you saw the movie Naked, or one of his early ones.
It was Meantime. I saw Meantime, and then that was kind of the
Naked,
catalyst.
you were all in on Mike Lee films. And you said, like, do you like Mike Lee? And I'm like, I know I saw Naked, which I thought was fine. And I remember I really enjoyed Secrets and Lies, which was his movie that I think kind of put him on the radar more. I know it got some Oscar. It didn't win anything, I don't think, but it got a bunch of Oscar nominations for, I think, both the main lead actresses and maybe the screenplay. And I saw it, dude. I mean, this is maybe 5, 6, 7 years before you were even born, so I don't remember much about it, except I know it has to do with, I think, a woman who realizes she has an African-American daughter. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a woman who's African-American woman whose mom dies, and she knows she's adopted, but she goes on this journey to find her real mom.
Yeah.
And her real mom turns out to be white. And so it's kind of like, oh wait, that's not. But it's a lot more. It's a Mike Lee movie, so it's a lot more.
Yeah,
than that,
I remember it being very funny and enjoyable. I don't remember it being a film that I went.
It wasn't funny. It definitely wasn't funny. It was like
no. When
it had funny moments, but
yeah, I remember the woman when she finds out she has the daughter. I mean, I can specifically remember the audience howling with laughter and erupting. There's a scene when I think the woman puts it in her mind together that, wait a minute, I am actually your mother. Like, oh, I did sleep with an African American man 20 some years ago, whatever.
There definitely were funny moments, but like overall it was a lot of crying. Like it was a lot of crying, and I liked it a lot. It just wasn't Naked.
Yeah,
like the Naked is just is that good.
Such a film snob. Anyways, I don't. I can't. It's so long ago. I can't remember enough to say I agree or disagree on that one. But are you done with? Are you done with Mike Lee now? Have you caught up?
No.
No.
I'm still on the train. I really want to watch High Hopes next. I've heard that one's really, really good.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, how long does our audience have to put up with you spewing about little seen Mike Lee films?
Until I've seen them all, baby.
Okay.
Until I've seen them all.
We're not at the end of this death train.
We're not at the end of this tunnel. We're still choo-chooing all the way through.
Yeah. I watched yet another Mike Lee movie this week. Only about 17 people saw it on its initial release, but it's garnered some attention recently.
You can only find it by logging into a specific password on a encrypted website.
Yeah, it's really worth hunting down if you have absolutely nothing.
If you're ever in Hollywood at this hole-in-the-wall DVD shop, there's this great find.
I know that there's 15 million other films immediately at your disposal on demand and streaming. But in Pasadena at 7 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, they're going to be showing, and really everyone should get down to see that. Okay, so that'll build the viewership for our podcast.
No, for sure.
But we don't just talk about the art films. We also go out and see the blockbusters, and we've already lamented about how the summer was a bit lackluster. We are starting to get into the doldrums of the fall. These are movies that kind of get dumped on us, but every once in a while you get a little surprise before we hit Oscar season. Oscar season is just starting. There's a couple movies coming out maybe next week that might be some possible contenders, but the heavy hitters really aren't going to be out until November, December. The big film last week was a new film, a horror movie. I do like it. You like a scary movie, Jackson? When you were little, you did not.
No, when I was little, I didn't.
You wanted nothing to do with anything scary until maybe your teens, and then you seemed to let up a little bit. But how are you now? Where are you now? Do you enjoy them? Do you tolerate them?
I enjoy them. I don't know. I think it's really hard for me to love a horror movie. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. I'm not big into that genre. I do. The scariest thing to me in movies, I think I said this before, but like movies about what people can do to people is always way scarier to me than paranormal or things like that.
I'm like that too.
Yeah. That's just horrifying to me.
Serial killers, maniacs. As soon as someone says possessed or ghost Or I'm like, you might jump scare. Hey, you might jump scare me. But that's not scaring
Yeah,
me.
but that's not scaring. That's just like, oh my god, there's a ghost.
Yeah, that's a startle. I think there's a difference between a startle. Oh, you startled me. You put me into a lull, and then you jumped at me. Scaring me is when I'm like, oh my god, I'm really feeling creeped out, and I'm very, very super tense right now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. This is a new movie we saw this weekend, just opened. It's called Barbarian. It is directed by first-time director Zach Krieger. I'm going to preface this.
And written by as well. It was written and directed by him.
Written and directed by him. His first mainstay. I'm going to preface this by saying there is a lot of buzz on this film. It has got a 92 from critics. That is huge on Rotten Tomatoes. We always look at the Rotten Tomatoes to kind of get an idea. It doesn't mean it's set in gold. Audiences are not quite. They're at 75%, but that's really good for a film on opening weekend. It stars Georgina Campbell. I've never seen her before. She's British.
Me either.
She's British, so yet another person coming over and doing an American accent. Bill Skarsgård is in this. He, of course, is Alex's younger brother and is most well known for Pennywise in the It reboot, Stephen King It film reboot, which, by the way, I thought he was a great Pennywise. Terrifying.
He was fantastic in that, yeah.
And Justin Long pops into this. I haven't seen Justin Long in a while. He was kind of the It guy. Maybe back in the 2000s, Dodgeball was a huge movie for him. He was also, speaking of horror movies, he was in kind of the cult classic horror movie Jeepers Creepers, which has got a bit of a following and spawned a bunch of horrible sequels. But the first one wasn't too bad. Barbarian tells the tale, if you've seen the trailer, of a young woman who is in a bad part of Detroit getting an Airbnb. And turns out when she shows up, there's already a very sweet young man staying at the Airbnb. Some kind of confusion on the internet. They've both booked it the same weekend. And things may not be as they appear. Without going any more deep into exactly what happens or spoiling anything, because I do think this film has a pretty clever twist.
I agree.
But without going too deep, Jackson, what are your initial thoughts of Barbarian?
So Barbarian. First things first, pretty scary. This thing got me a little bit. I mean, I wasn't like reaping the consequences of it afterwards, but
it was scary.
It was scary.
I would say especially the first half of. I would say I'm going to put the movie in thirds. First third.
Yeah.
First third is a lot of setup to put you at lull. Second third I thought was very terrifying.
Agreed.
Third act we get a little. It gets a little ludicrous.
No, I agree.
And I feel like they may have dug themselves into a hole they couldn't quite get out of. It felt like three very different films.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
I went to go see it with one of my friends though, and during that first jump scare, she screamed like so loud, like it was filled the theater. But I really did. I'm going to stick with the kind of the three sections setup that you put.
Yeah.
I loved the first section. I really loved the second section. I loved how they kind of separated the two. I liked that kind of transition.
I thought it was a brilliant time jump.
No, agreed.
When we suddenly, there's a part in the movie, it's not giving away, where there is a massive jump back in time. The first one, not the second one. The first one is brilliantly done.
I thought they both were. I'm going to get a little technical here. I'm a sucker for a hard cut. I put it in almost every one of my films. I love it when people do it. I think it's the most underrated thing ever. So I love that they utilize that. The third act really dropped the ball for me. Yeah. I thought the setup and the execution of the first sections were really great.
Yep.
The ending left me feeling like, man, that was it. Like all that for that.
And tonally, it really turned. It got a little.
It did.
It got silly. It got a little like it elicited laughter. None of the first 2/3 of the film did. when we got to what was actually going on in the specifics, especially with Justin Long's character and what ends up happening to him and what he is, I don't want to give away anything, forced to do. I mean, there was laughter. And I was just I was like, what? I love the fact that this was a twist I did not see coming, but it almost got to a point of silliness. And again, without giving too much away, once some of them get out of the house, it lost everything for me. The water tower and the other. I was like, and then I'm like, what? How did they survive?
Even the scene with the cops.
Yes.
In a way where I was like, look, I understand that. I mean, this has happened before. Like, one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims escaped, and Jeffrey was able to convince them that he was actually his kid. Like, that does happen.
Right, yeah.
But it was like, you have to be the most thick-headed fuck to be ignoring what's happening in front of you. It just got yeah, you're right. It got a little Scooby-Dooey almost at the end, where I was
it got silly. It got silly. And up to that point, it had been really intelligent, and it had been done really well. And they set you up to think one thing, and it goes another way. And yeah, it's weird. I also think there's the second big flashback where it kind of sets up, let's just say, the history of the house. I didn't really think that paid off either. I was like, we're introduced to this new character. There's a trip to a shopping store. And then we get a kind of a clue that the neighborhood's turning and going downhill a bit. And that really, I felt like it was a long scene that just didn't really lead to much.
I think one of the problems, I did like the flashback. I think that was like good for the movie. I think that I had already kind of understood what was happening in the house before. Like, I don't know about if you could, but like before the flashback to the history of the house, I kind of already, they had left enough clues where you can kind of go, oh, like this is probably what's happening.
Yeah.
With like, I don't want to give anything away, but But look, I mean, I still did enjoy this. I just think they could have stuck the landing better. I thought the cinematography was pretty good. Like I said, I liked the editing a lot. I liked Justin Long's character. I think that he was a good kind of addition to that, and they kind of had a small little commentary on modern events with his character and how he was portrayed.
Yeah, all the
the performances were great. Yeah,
yeah. Bill Skarsgård kept things very
ambiguous.
Ambiguous. Could go one way, could go the other. I think there was a little bit of back and forth with Justin Long's character, like, oh, is he a bad person? Oh, has he redeemed himself? Oh, he has redeemed himself. Oh, wait a minute, he hasn't redeemed himself.
Yeah.
Which I get. People are nuanced. I like that. We're not always like we're all evil or we're all good. But it seemed a little jerky at times, like, we're rooting for him. No, we're not. And that has a lot to do with his backstory, which is given during a good bit of the film. I don't want to go into it too much. I give this movie a ton of credit, especially from a first-time director, for really building tension. The critics are loving this. They're already saying it's just going to be one of those midnight cult classic horror movies. They're like,
I don't see that. Yeah,
I don't like when something is labeled a cult classic. Let's give it 20 years and see if we're still watching it. You know what I mean?
Let's wait. You can't really call it that until it becomes a cult classic.
Yeah,
it's just it either is or it isn't.
Yeah, it's not Repo Man or Spinal Tap or Rocky Horror. It might be, but let's just not label it that.
Let's just see, maybe.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's give it a little bit of time.
Fair.
Unfortunately, though, Mr. Zach Krieger, the last third of the film just pulls out all the horror kind of conveniences that I just wish he had gone somewhere else. I will give him credit for this. I'm pretty sure, am I wrong? Nowhere did they leave this open for a sequel, right? They didn't there was not a cheesy, like, oh, here comes Barbarian 2, right?
No, they did not. So unless there was some kind of end credit scene that I missed, I believe that this is this is it. So
okay. And doesn't mean if it doesn't make $1 trillion, they won't find a way. But it didn't have that schlocky, like, the hand moved.
Right.
And so before I give you the grade, I said I was going to ask you this question. Can you answer it, Jackson, without spoiling anything? I don't know why this movie is called Barbarian. I was like,
I think that
Barbarian?
I think it has to do. Let me look up the definition of barbarian real quick, just because I just want to.
Because I don't. Maybe I'm associating barbarian with like Conan and
a member of a community or tribe not belonging to one of the great civilizations. So I guess it's someone who has been separated from like civilization.
Okay.
In a way.
Okay. Then With that, we won't go any further. Okay.
Yeah.
With that,
I guess that makes sense.
I guess it could. I just think. I don't know. For some reason, when I think barbarian, I think like warrior.
No, I do too. I think, yeah.
So when I hear that definition, that can make sense.
That can make sense too. Yeah.
All right,
cool.
Barbarian for me, a fantastic start, a very, very bad ending. So I hate to do it. I give this. I'm going to give it a C+++++.
Okay.
C with 3
Okay,
pluses,
interesting.
Because
right on the brink.
I can't bring myself to give a movie that ends so poorly a B, so I'm going to give it the highest C that I can. So I think it's an average horror film that deserves a 3 pluses. What do you think about that? That's a new thing
that's
here
fair.
on the PGN podcast.
I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10.
Oh, so okay, so that's a 70%. That's a C. Okay, so we're the same.
It's about the.
We're about the same. It kind of sucks when you go into a movie and you're really enjoying it and you can see it go off the rails.
Yeah, that was a tough thing to do, but
that's kind of the deal. A couple other horror movies coming out that we've seen trailers for. The next big one's going to be Smile. And then there's a Halloween Ends. There'll be the third Halloween Ends, and then there's a Possession one. I've seen like a trailer for a million times about a nun whose mother was possessed when she was a little girl.
Oh, that looks horrible.
I don't
know. It
looks
looks horrible.
Yeah, let's just say the Exorcism movie coming out, because I don't remember what it was called. Of those three, which would you be most excited to see, Jackson? The Halloween thing, the Exorcism thing?
Smile.
Smile.
I never saw the second Halloween, like the second of the new trilogy, I guess they're calling it. But I heard it was horrible.
It was wretched.
I loved the first one. The first one was, I thought was... I mean, as much as I don't like the reboots, like it did the original justice.
Yep.
It was actually pretty scary.
Yep.
But I just
Jamie Lee Curtis.
They lost me.
She was a butt kicker. Oh yeah. Man, the second one is such a train wreck, Jackson. Such a train wreck.
Oh man, how do they fumble? How do they fumble it every time? I don't understand.
We'll see if they stick it with Halloween Ends. Here at the PGN podcast, we watch all kinds of movies, though. It's not just about horror films. Although there are a lot of guys with podcasts they're really into
just horror films, yeah.
Horror.
You can find a podcast about anything these days.
Oh, speaking of horror, we took your sister and a bunch of her friends and her boyfriend to an escape room last night for her.
How was that?
It was fun. It was a scary one. It was called Zombie Lab in L.A.
Okay.
They all wanted to do a scary one, and while they went in, your mother and I stayed outside and watched them on the cameras.
That's awesome.
And there was a live actor in there, a zombie guy, who I talked to them beforehand, and I said, listen, I got a tip in this for you if you just scare the crap out of them.
That's awesome.
So, I think they had a lot of fun. There was a lot of screaming. There was at one point where they got a door open into the next room, and that's where the zombie guy was waiting for them. It was a pitch black room. All they had were flashlights, and he's doing that creepy thing where he's standing in the corner facing the corner.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so in the room, so no one's going in. The door's open, and they're just kind of peeking their heads in, and they have their flashlights. And then you could see that as soon as a light captures him in the corner, they just lost it. And then nobody would go in the room. Like, they can't advance. The things
they don't go in the room.
So they have to go in the room with that zombie. And I think they had to figure out that they have to feed him or something. Like,
so what'd they do? They break through it, or?
Okay, so nobody would go in the room for like 5 to 6 minutes. And I'm talking to the game master, and she's like, well, eventually they're going to have to go in there. And I said, can I go tell them to go in there? And she was like, yeah, I don't care. And so they're in that room, and then by the way, everything's dark, so it's all flashlights. So I get right to the door, and then I throw the door open, and they just scream, "Ah!" And I go, you have to go in that room or you're never getting out. I shut the door. The funny thing, though, is after they went in and they figured out how to get some lights on and this, by the end of the game, they were literally talking to the zombie. Like at some point, at some point they weren't afraid of him anymore. They're like, you're an actor, dude. And at that point, he almost became a coach. Like he was like writing stuff on the wall to like give them clues because they sucked. You know, they couldn't get out. So he's awesome. He's like pointing at things and like trying to help them with codes and whatnot. And
did they make it out?
They did, with about a minute to go. But, you know,
wow.
they needed all the hints and everything.
Yeah,
and all that stuff. But, it was all right. I think there's probably better scary escape rooms. This one was a little schlocky.
Oh,
but,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I know there's some out there that probably have better production value. But
right, of course.
So speaking of scares, that happened, and we missed having you there because you're I don't know. Would you be who's the best in the family at escape rooms when we do them? We've done so many together.
I think that I am good at escape rooms. If I'm in a scary one though, it's clocked out. I'm not there.
Doing it. You're not going to do it.
No.
So when you come
I would do it, but not well. Like I'm all over the map.
Right.
Jeez, my
so
allergies are going crazy right now.
when you come home, would you do a scary one with us? Wow, that's a real pause right there. That's what I call a straight up wussy pause right there. Yes. What's the caveat? You're gonna do it blindfolded?
I don't like it when there's a live actor. I don't like it when they have someone else in there.
But that's kind of what makes it though. That's what kind of adds a little bit of the. We don't need another member. We're fine on that. What if we went to one and we didn't know if there was like a character in there or not?
I would do that. I don't know if they can legally say that.
They don't have to tell you.
With COVID, I feel like they must.
No, there's no masking last night.
COVID. Well, yeah, but I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna blow my nose real quick because
go blow your nose. While you're doing that, I will let you know that it was my week to pick a classic motion picture that neither Jackson nor myself has seen, and people say is fantastic. So I went a little bit. And by the way, this would be a good time to put in notes about what you think of Jackson's posters on his dorm if you're watching on the YouTube channel. And see, I'm not even kidding you. If he brings a girl over, he's doomed. So, if you'd be so kind as to put some comments into the chat.
I can hear you. You know. Like,
yeah,
I got
you have your earbuds on? Oh,
yeah.
I was just telling them.
Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt your moment.
I was talking about the movie that I picked for this week.
Oh yeah.
So I went back to the 80s this week, and since next week, the much anticipated, at least for these two geeks, Moon Age Daydream, which is still not even sure if it's
excited.
I'm not sure if it's a David Bowie concert film or a documentary, or I'm hoping a mix of both because I would love to see concert footage, and I would also like to know more about his life. But thinking of David Bowie, it got me realizing that I never saw the 1986, and this one you can call a cult classic,
yes.
Labyrinth. It's a movie that did not do very well at the box office at the time, but has gotten quite a huge following over the last few decades, so much, in fact, that they're talking about doing a reboot or a sequel, and I want to get your thoughts on that too, Jackson, as well. It's directed by Jim Henson. It's got a lot of Muppets and puppetry in it. It was also produced by George Lucas, Mr. Star Wars. Music was all written by, and most of it performed by David Bowie himself, who plays the Goblin King. And it was a screen debut for a very young, which I also want to talk to you about, Jackson, Jennifer Connelly, who has gone on, obviously, to do a ton of movies and have a very long career. She became kind of a teen idol for career opportunities in The Rocketeer, and then went on to have a very prestigious career as an adult actress in everything from A Beautiful Mind to what's the
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, what's that?
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream, and obviously was in this summer's Top Gun Maverick as a new love interest. It tells the tale of a young girl who lives a bit of a fantasy life. She's very much into fables and fairy tales, and apparently her father has remarried, and they have had a new little baby boy, and there's some jealousy there. And she dreams, or wishes, I should say, that these imaginary goblins will come and take her baby brother away, and what happens next may or may not be a dream. Jackson, what did you think of the 1986 cult classic Labyrinth? Thoughts, please.
Okay, so
let me first say
I'm not doing that. I love Jim Henson. I'm a big Jim Henson guy. I mentioned this last time, but I really did grow up on the Muppets. Fraggle Rock.
Yep.
The art direction,
yes,
and like PD and Muppeteering and all that in this movie is fantastic. It's incredible. He did a great job of world building. I have a lot of respect for him in that way.
Yeah,
Frank Oz is a mastermind.
Considering the time, that's a very creative use of puppetry. And if you're watching the puppetry, one thing, it was very quick, but there was a part where she's falling down the well, and it was the helping hands. And
yeah, that was really cool.
It was very cool. They were literally making different faces, but just with the use of their hands. There was no costuming or puppetry or whatever. But yeah, I agree. Go on.
I also really like. I mean, this is probably just because I'm so used to it, and it's been so much that I like when they do this way. But I like practical over VFX. Yes. Like I just tend to like it more.
Right.
No slight to anyone who's into VFX. It's just I just like the practicals better. So I like that it was mostly done practically.
Yeah.
With that being said,
right.
It was a little messy. The plot wise, this is a little messy. I think that if I had seen this as a kid, I would have liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. I think that without having seen it when I was little, it loses kind of the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
And also, I just look at Jennifer Connelly and I think about the end of Requiem for a Dream, and I just get really depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I've only seen David Bowie in one other acting role besides this, and it was his 2-minute scene in the Twin Peaks movie.
He didn't do a lot of acting. He was in a movie called The Man Who Fell to Earth, kind of a psychedelic sci-fi movie that was okay. And I also know I think he did a Vietnam film or something to do with the Korean War. He dabbled in film. You'd have to look that up, but he never really fully. He was kind of like Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger popped up in a movie now and then David Bowie would as well, but it was obviously never his passion. It always looked like something he was talked into. I thought he was good. I thought he was good in this. I mean, I didn't find him overacting or really doing anything. I mean, half of it was working the costume as
yeah.
And by the way, kind of a weird choice for a character name as the Goblin King, Jareth. I was like, Jareth the Goblin King.
Yeah.
Have you met Kenny, the Knight of the Dwarfs? I'm like, Jareth? That's kind of an odd name.
No, yeah, seriously. I think that always, this is just a personal thing, I always rubs me the wrong way a little bit when music artists start acting, just because I'm like, you got to be really good, or otherwise I'm going to think that you got this role because you're a music artist. Like, I want you to be good. That's why I'm treading lightly with Don't Worry, Darling. I want to...
Right.
Either you're an actor and a musician, or you're a musician that just does acting for the bit, or because you got talked into it.
Right, but I don't think that's the situation here because he was an integral part of this movie. I mean, there are 5 musical numbers that he wrote.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that I tend to tread lighter because I'm but he did the music for this, and so I think it was a good choice.
How do you, since we're talking about it, how did you feel about the songs? There was 5 very distinct songs. Underground, which is kind of starts and it ends with. Magic Dance was kind of his when they're tossing the baby around.
Yeah.
Magic Dance. Chilly Down is the only one he didn't sing, but he wrote. That was the guys who kept taking their heads off and were dancing around a fire.
Yeah.
Then there was the love song, which I want to talk about the love story, As the World Falls Down, which is during the masquerade ball. And then Within You, which actually was my favorite song from it, which is the one he sings when they're going through that maze at the end of stairs that are up and down. What did you think of the music? I mean, we're both David Bowie fans.
I love David Bowie. I did not like the music.
Smell a butt. Yeah.
I did not like it. I was not rocking with it. It's just it wasn't my thing. It had that more of like a stage feel to it. It's just you know how I feel about musicals. I'm like every time you stop, I'm like, why this didn't
singing?
Need to happen.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. And I don't know. This movie was kind of all over the place for me because I liked a lot about it technically. It's just that I could not have been more bored with not just the story, but Jennifer Connelly's performance.
Not a great child performance.
No, not great at all.
She's a great actress, but this was
fantastic actress, but this was definitely maybe blame it on the writing if you want to, but
some kid performances you look at and you go, they're still learning. It's funny because I saw George Lucas was associated with this, and I'm like, was George Lucas in charge of her acting coaching? Because I was like getting that little kid from the Star Wars movie, the Phantom Menace. I was like, when George Lucas is involved, children never
like early
seem to
Mark Hamill vibe.
Yeah, it's like. I don't know about that. I think I like the music a little bit more than you. I don't think I would ever get the soundtrack to it. I did like that last song. The thing with Bowie is even when it's not hitting with me, and most of this music did not, it's probably better than a lot. It's at least he's trying. He's doing something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. The movie itself just had kind of a Time Bandits feel to me, which I know you haven't seen. But Time Bandits, I love. That's a movie you should. It's kind of the same era, British film.
The one movie that I kept coming back to was Neverending Story.
Neverending Story. Yeah, it's about the same time period. Or Wizard of Oz. It's just Dorothy and
honestly,
3 different friends on the way.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and they're all trying to get to Oz. I'm assuming it's kind of an ode to it, or, I mean, there's literally, they show a shot of the book, The Wizard of Oz, in her bedroom at the very beginning. So I think in a way they're kind of saying, we know this is the Wizard of Oz. She's trying to get to the castle. There's a wizard. She's going to meet 3 companions along the way. And there's even a dog. I mean, there's even Toto. So, I mean...
Yeah, they're literally...
No one's reinventing the wheel here. It is Wizard of Oz. The other thing before we grade it, I wanted to ask you about, were you a little creeped out by the love story aspect of it? Jennifer Connelly at the time of making this movie was 14 years old, and she's definitely playing a young girl.
Yeah.
And David Bowie at the time of this filming was 39. And she talks about how the whole masquerade, it's like they're dancing together, and it's like, and at the end he's like, I just want you to fear me and love me, and I'll do whatever I can. I don't know. It seemed, were you getting pedophile vibes at all?
It seemed, yeah. It was really, it just let me go, oh.
I just didn't know if anyone. I didn't know if I'm the only one who picked up on that. I'm like, this is a 14. She's still sleeping in a room with stuffed animals, and she's dressing up as princess. And the next thing you know, she's falling in love with a king, a goblin king. And I'm like, and he's making googly eyes at her and professing his love.
Yeah, that a
little creep.
Left the bad taste in my mouth. I forgot about that, but yeah, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I think that. When I look at this movie overall, and I guess this is kind of my before I grade it speech,
Yeah.
This movie felt like an excuse for Jim Henson to just go all out with the puppeteering. Like, it felt like an excuse for him to just go, like, what if we just made this insanely crazy world? And I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I just wanted more from it. Yeah. And so for that, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10.
Ooh, 4. Well, I'm not going to go quite that bad. I'm going to give it a C-, because I do like a lot of aspects of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a little kitschy. Again, it's The Wizard of Oz. But it's going to be a C- for me. I don't see any reason to reboot this or redo it, but I'm curious, and the last thing, if you were going to do it now, who would you cast? For David Bowie. So if we were going to redo it, you have to cast a current musician who will not only play the Goblin King, but will do new music for the film, and then you have to cast Jennifer Connelly. And for me, like, I immediately thought if I was doing this right now, hands down, it would be The Weeknd. I would have.
You think?
Yeah, I think he would do pretty interesting music for the film. I think he's a little bit creepy enough to kind of play a Goblin King, but still make him kind of suave. I think that would be a really intelligent choice.
I'm not a big fan of his music, but I was thinking just as far as like the look goes, more of like a Lil Nas X route, just because he already kind of dresses in that kind of like flamboyant Bowie style. But music-wise, I don't know if that would work. I think the kid is harder to cast. I'm trying to think of.
Well, if they're going to do the love story, let's do somebody of age.
Yeah, maybe we should do someone, or maybe we just knock that part out of the...
Yeah,
maybe we
just
don't bring that up.
Yeah, take the love out thing, and then you can just put, like, some newcomer.
Put whoever.
Just don't let George Lucas be the acting coach, because that never seems to work out particularly well. So was that a letdown, Jackson? It was one of those films I just never saw. It was 1986. I was a senior in high school. I had grown out of this, so it was not on my radar.
I don't know.
But afterwards,
afterwards,
I felt like I'm glad I watched this.
No, I'm too. I mean, it was one of those movies where it's like, oh, this was really like I just, like I said, I have such a deep respect for Jim Henson and what he does. So like, I don't feel bad for watching
and
it.
And it is that movie. You can still go to like a Comic-Con now, and there'll be some nut job dressed up.
I'm sure,
there,
yeah.
Like, I'm the trash lady from Labyrinth, or
right, yeah.
I'm sure you've got to see a David Bowie Goblin King costume pop up.
There has to be, yeah, for sure, sure.
Every once in a while. So that was my pick of the week. Labyrinth. I went back to the 80s again and picked a kids film. That's I think that's the first one, right? Yeah.
That was our first one. Well, I mean, unless you count
right, but one that we chose to watch.
The one that we chose to watch, yeah.
Not
definitely.
Lightyear or whatever.
Yeah.
So now we've gotten to what overall is probably the most popular part of the PGM podcast. That's the Jackson Pretentious Art Film Corner, where we check in with Jackson to see, one, if he watched any pretentious art films this week. We've already covered that earlier with Secrets and Lies. And now find out what pretentious art movie he's going to force us to watch. I think
you're going to eat your words a little bit. I think you're going to be really excited for this.
It's Transformers 3, Return of
could you imagine?
Megatron. Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to do this week is I wanted to find a film. I feel like lately we've been kind of doing like, you pick a film that you think you really like, I pick a film that I think I would really like, and I wanted to do something that I think would be both. Like we're both equally excited about this.
Okay.
And I'm looking around and shopping around, and I found that there's one guy that we both seem to have kind of a connection to, and that is the writer of one of. You're so close. I'm close. It's the writer of arguably one of the greatest films ever made, and that is going to be Paul Schrader, who wrote...
Oh, yeah, Taxi Driver.
Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver. He wrote Raging Bull.
Yep.
He wrote The Last Temptation of Christ. He's been all over the map. But he also sometimes...
Scorsese obviously loves him.
Yeah, but he also sometimes does a little smaller... He directs his own films, little smaller art house movies. And so I wanted to pick one of those. I'm really excited for this. This is written and directed by Paul Schrader, and it is a movie called Mishima: A Life in 4 Chapters.
Oh my God. What?
Why are you doing that? Okay, no.
Does that mean 4 hours?
No, it's only like it's 121 minutes. It's like normal length.
Hours.
It is a biopic about a Japanese author. So it's a biopic.
Are you trying to drive our audience away?
What are you saying? Okay, what? How are you not excited about this? I was so happy for this pick. You love Taxi Driver. It's the same brain.
I do. But do you think there's a reason why? Would you say I'm a pretty avid film fan? I mean, I'm not like Scorsese. Yeah. I'm not Scorsese where I'm like, I have a original print of this whatever in my vault.
Well, yeah.
But I know film.
Yeah, of course.
If I haven't even heard of it, do you think that might be a sign that there's a reason why I haven't heard of it?
Or no, there's lots of films that I love that you haven't heard of, and that's just as taste differences. Yeah. Listen,
no, I'm gonna go in open-minded. I owe that to you because
I will let you know it is one of the highest rated films on Letterboxd. It's in the top 100 200 films of all time.
Now, have you verified that human beings can actually still see this movie without flying to Skywalker Ranch and going to a special screening put on by?
You can rent it on Amazon. It's rentable on Amazon.
Okay.
This is how I'm personally gonna do it because that someone told me this. You do not have to do this; is not required. Okay. Somebody told me that the author this is about, whatever his name is, Mishima. He made one short film in his lifetime, a 20-minute short film, and someone told me that if you want to watch it before you watch the movie because it gives you a good little taste of what his life was like before you watch the movie about him.
Okay, yeah,
that's how I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
you don't have to do that.
You know what I'm gonna do? I want to do that. I really do. But for our listeners, I'm going to not do that so that you and I can come from two different perspectives.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to let you watch the short film first and see if that changes someone like me who doesn't spend his time watching.
You know what? Screw you. I went out of my way to find a goddamn movie that I thought we would both be excited about. It's Paul Schrader.
It's Paul Schrader. Yeah.
He literally wrote one of your favorite films ever.
Love Taxi Driver.
So how can you not be at least a little bit excited to see what happens when he's behind the camera?
Because sometimes when authors go behind the camera, they then realize this is where I don't belong and go back to writing.
That's true, but does knowing that this was a very critically acclaimed film help in that a little bit?
And this is not a documentary. This is a.
No, here I'll give you the little.
Who's in it? Does it got any of those people from Crazy Rich
You're not going
to
know anybody in it. You're not going to know anybody in it.
Or, no.
No.
Short Round from
you don't know
Indiana Jones. Is he in that? No.
Do not do this right now. This is so. Okay. So the little synopsis. A fictional account of the life of Japanese author Yukio Mishima told in 4 parts. The first 3 parts relate to events in 3 of his movies. The last part depicts the events of how he died, which I heard is extremely horrific, but I don't know how it is yet. I'm saving it for the movie.
All right. Okay. Can you spell that for me?
Mishima?
Mishima?
Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters.
Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. What year did this come out, Jackson?
1985. So this is right. This isn't like recent.
1985. I gotcha. So a year before Labyrinth.
A year before Labyrinth, yeah.
So I was a junior in high school.
You were?
Probably watching Rocky IV. I was probably watching Drago.
Rocky IV.
I remember specifically the night my friends and we were saying, we should go to a movie tonight, and picking up the newspaper, because that's what we did back then, Jackson. We didn't have the phone. And, you had to
right.
You actually had to look in a newspaper to the movie section in the art department. And I remember going, hey, guys, we need to go see a movie. And we're like, yeah, what's playing? And I said, well, Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Rocky 4 and Romancing the Stone. But I really want to see Marshmallow, the story in 4 chapters. Is anyone down?
You're such... Oh, this better be a good movie, because I want to see you eat your words so bad. This has been on my radar for a long time. I want you to be excited about this. This is someone that you love. This is a passion project of theirs. I feel like that's grounds enough to be excited for.
Okay. I'm excited for you and for me and for
you know what? Fuck you, because I sit through I sit here and watch old ass black and white Andy Griffith movies, and I keep my mouth shut when I'm not excited for them because I wait and see about the movie, and then guess what? When I like them, I go, you know what? I came in intrepidly, but I like this.
Okay.
I want that same attitude.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited. It sounds good. It's Paul Schrader, Raging Bull.
Paul Schrader wrote Raging Bull, wrote Taxi Driver.
And then made
other
one
things.
Made one movie and was blackballed.
No, that's not true. He's made a bunch of movies. He did a movie with Ethan Hawke called First Reformed in 2017. He did one called The Card Counter.
It was bad. The Card Counter just came out last year. That was
that tanked, I heard, actually.
Yeah, it was what's his name from he played the new Han Solo.
It's Oscar Isaac.
Oscar
Isaac. That movie did tank, but First Reformed got pretty good reviews.
Did he do a movie called Hard? No, he didn't. That's P.T. Anderson.
No, he did Hardcore. That's what you're talking about. He did a movie called Hardcore. Oh, I think of Hard 8.
Hardcore is the one with George C. Scott, right? Does it say George C. Scott?
Yes, George C. Scott.
Horrible film. That's a movie George C. Scott plays. He's a father of a daughter who gets sucked into porn or something, and it's bad. Okay, so we're going to check out Miritano, a chapter
Mishima,
12
A
story.
Life in 4 Chapters.
A Life in 15 chapters, and we'll let you know which chapter was my favorite. I'm excited about 3. I don't know about you, but just from what
look,
3's the one I'm excited about.
You're going to love this goddamn movie. You better love this movie.
Yeah. It's actually going to be a great episode next week because there's a ton of movies to choose from. I don't know if we're going to choose them now, but we've got a lot of movies that we could review next week. Yeah, I think it's going to really depend on how busy Jackson is with school and what we can see in before we can. But a lot of these I do want to see. Obviously, we have Moon Age Daydream. That's the David Bowie. Movie is being released next weekend. Another film called See How They Run. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I love Sam Rockwell and Adrian Brody and Saoirse Ronan. I can never remember how to say her name. Saoirse. Looks kind of like a screwball old-time murder mystery. It's kind of, I don't know. But it's one of the bigger films opening. Pearl is coming out next week, too. That's Ty West's prequel. Very weird to have a prequel coming out to a movie that was just in theaters like 5 months ago.
I think they made it at the same time. I feel like they had to have. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they
like
must have.
A thing.
But if you saw X, which we reviewed earlier this year, this is kind of the backstory of how the psychotic old lady became psychotic when she was young, called Pearl. Another big Oscar bait movie is coming out next week called The Silent Twins. Verdict's I'm not really sure about that one.
I was not excited about that.
Yeah, Letitia Wright from Black Panther's in that, about 2 young adolescent girls, I think, who do the silent treatment because of some mental duress. I'm not completely sure what the story is there.
Yeah, something like that.
Probably the biggest movie to come out next week. I don't know how it's going to do, but as far as most blockbuster possibilities is The Woman King. That's with Oscar winner Viola Davis. If you've seen,
are you sure Moon Age Daydream's coming out next week? I'm not seeing it in any theaters near me.
Limited release in the Los Angeles area. So
I don't think I can see it. It's not showing near me.
Well, maybe I'll
have to wait until it gets. I'll have to wait until it gets released for.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it's a possibility. Also, Confess Fletch. Believe it or not, that's coming out as well. That's a reboot of the Fletch franchise that Chevy Chase did, but now John Hamm is stepping in. It looks horrible. I have a feeling we're not going to drag ourselves to see that. And to be honest with you, this is the one I'm most excited about next week. I like the trailer. I'm a big fan of Thandie Newton. It looks like the kind of thriller that I would enjoy. It's called God's Country. If you've seen the trailer for that, Thandie Newton plays she is an African-American woman that's living in kind of a rural town, and she may or not be being harassed by dumbass white people. And there's a lot of dumbass white people in this country.
Oh, yeah, I did see a trailer for that.
Yeah, so that's opening as well. There's a little bit of buzz on that for Thandie Newton as a possible Oscar nominee. So we have a few films to choose from. Some of them are not quite as big. The Woman King is probably the one that's going to be playing everywhere. And then maybe we can try to hunt down 1 or 2 of the other ones. It'll really depend on when we record and what Jackson's class schedule is, because apparently he is very busy trying to become a filmmaker and scare off
I'm
girls
so confused.
Posters
There's
on his wall.
Moon Age Daydream is playing today, but not the rest of the week. Oh
Yeah,
no, it is. This is so weird.
Yeah, it's already opened in I think one theater in Los Angeles. And
Oh no, it is showing near
opens a
me, but
little
they weren't
wider.
showing on the app. That's so confusing.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
So it's out there. So I think we're both excited about. I think in a perfect world, we're going to see Moon Age Daydream, God's Country, and Miatopa, Life in 15 Chapters.
Mishima.
And maybe at least I'll probably try to sneak The Woman King in there because that's a big one. We always like to try to talk about a big blockbuster if we can. And it looks like it's trying to beat Black Panther to the warrior princess kind of thing.
No, yeah, definitely.
Sometimes I'm watching the Woman King trailer, and then I see the Black Panther trailer afterwards, and some of the shots are even like identical.
Similar,
like
they're very similar.
Someone lunging through the air.
Yeah, through the air to grab something.
With a spear coming down on someone. I'm like, I think I just saw that in Black Panther trailer.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that's like. What about the rest of your week? You got some improv. You got another improv show this week. When can I come down? Are you guys still working the rest out?
We'll see. I don't have a show this week. Our next show is going to be the week after. We'll see. I'll wait to see what the show is, I guess, first.
Let me ask you this: you're in film school, right? When the fuck are you going to make a goddamn movie?
It's
I want to see a
it's-
movie. Are you gonna be watching 6 Feet Under and learning how?
Yeah,
to record
so this.
I want to see I'm paying a lot of. I got some green in this thing. I got a little skin in the game.
This
make a damn film already.
This year I have to take a class called IP. A lot of my friends are taking it this semester. I'm taking it next semester, and the whole class is just developing a short film over the course of the semester. So that'll be next semester. I'll be making that.
Gotcha.
I'm working on some stuff, some personal stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it personal. I want the people there that are getting paid to teach you how to do this.
Well, none of the classes I'm taking this semester are like it's sound design and directing, and I like.
Oh, there's no money in audio. Get out of that as soon as you can.
No, there is, but I'm not you don't make a short film and then just to do audio for it. You know, like it's mostly just like Foleying a scene from a different movie or doing something like that, and then directing is mostly just like in front of the teacher, like doing your directing style or whatever.
So you figure out have you figured out what you want to do? Or let's put you on the spot. You know what you want to do with the rest of your life?
It's gonna be cinematography probably.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wrong answer.
Why?
Wrong answer. Nope.
Why?
Nope. I'm going to ask you again. What do you want to do with your career as soon as you get out of college? What kind of career do you want to go into?
Film? I'm so you're lost on me.
So this is what did you say? Cinematography?
Yeah.
Here's the correct answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cinematography, or whatever the hell they hire me to do.
Oh well, yeah, of course. But by cinematography, I mostly mean just like camera team. Like, I'll be a PA or a grip. I don't care.
Don't be one of those guys who doesn't want to pay his dues.
No, are you kidding? Are you kidding? I watched too many. I've been on too many of your sets to know what that's like. I'm not,
Yeah. You get these guys.
I'm not that guy.
I've written a screenplay, and I'm going to sell it and direct it myself, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep fighting and fighting to do that. I'm like, well,
I'll see you in 15 years when you're doing Crafty, man. I'm not like you're too hot headed for that.
That ain't gonna pay the bills. All right. Are you coming home anytime soon or no? You're good down there. You need anything?
I'm good. I think I'm good down here right now. Yeah. Right. I might have to go grocery shopping soon. I might be running low on some stuff, but I've got some meals planned, some meals lined up, as they say.
All right, it's called Tupperware. Bulk it.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep eating off of it. All right.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, it's the PGN podcast. Parental guidance is neglected. Please follow Jackson Burns on the Instagram and TikTok at Jackson N Burns. I'm on the Instagram at Regan.
Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter. That's right. I always say TikTok. Are you on the TikTok, or do you even care? What is the?
I used to be, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I got kind of bored of it.
Right. Be careful on that Twitter. A lot of trolls on the Twitter. Don't get into fights, okay?
I know. I'm not.
Just be careful. You only get so many characters, and everyone reads something. The next thing you know, Alec Baldwin's on your ass, or you got some MAGA hat chasing you down, or
yeah.
Just be stir a pot.
No, I got you.
You know what you're gonna do. So follow him at Jackson N Burns on Twitter and the Instagram. I'm at Regan.Burns on Instagram, and please like, follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow PGM Podcast on those platforms as well. We're back next week. What are we back with again? A couple new films and Mississippi
Mishima,
Masala Lakamali.
chapters.
A Life in 104 Chapters. I know you're going to be on pins and needles. We'll get that one out to you as soon as we can,
It's
folks.
coming. Don't worry. Don't even worry.
Don't worry. All right. In the meantime, we'll have this up immediately. You got a double-header week of PGM Podcast. Thanks for listening as always. I love you, buddy.
Love you too. Peace out, guys.